Welcome to the In.It podcast. We've got the skankiest episode yet with Mr. J. Bones from Fuzigish.
How you doing?
Thanks so
Skanky,
much.
yeah, skanky. Yeah.
That was definitely the skankiest episode.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought of skanking as like a kind of a dance, like a Jamaican dance or whatever, like a whole scar, but there's another side of it, that people call it skanks and stuff, and I thought, okay, but this is the other side.
We don't talk about that. Now people skanking, like, always just brought up a picture in my head of, when you just sort of make your body move without thinking about what it's going to do.
It's like the people around you make it move. It's like, cool.
It's not a mosh pit, it's a dance pit.
Yeah, you get a lot of like gigs, like people come up and go like, hey, tell people to skank, man. They're killing each other or something like this. There's like a constant like. Well, we can put up like a slideshow, but I don't know. You gotta teach it. Get it on.
But dude, like you've been an enigma in my brain for quite a while. Because like, always saw you in the scene, like growing up, so your shows and whatever. But like, I have no idea who you actually are. So like, give me a little background, like where you're from, how you grew up, that kind of vibe.
I could keep that enigma alive, but I grew up in Joburg. I'm Joburg, born and bred, Josie. I kind of, and went to school here. I was. There was some times that I moved away for a little bit, but I always ended up coming back here. I don't know, for better or for worse. And I mean, playing guitar at school started like when I was at 14 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, yeah. It was a kind of, I wanted to play this guitar. My mom said, if you get it strung, we had a guitar lying around.
What guitar was it?
It was like an old classical beat up thing that my uncle had. It wasn't really a great guitar at all. I think I still got it, and it's like I wanted to turn it into like something, I don't know, a guitar. So my mom said, get it strung, and I'll take you for lessons, hoping that would be like the end of it, because I wouldn't follow through with this. I got it strung. I don't know how, but I got it strung. Went to lessons, and then after 6 months, said to my mom, I don't like guitar. I want to give up. And she said, now that you've started it, you've got to do it for at least a year. Thanks, Mom. And then, just jammed and wanted to play music. Knew I wanted to play music, didn't know exactly.
What were you listening to at that point?
Sure. Started off, older brothers and sisters and cousins, so are great for that kind of stuff.
Dude, my older brother like shaped everything in terms of my music taste.
Mine as well, and for better or for worse, yeah. But he had a really a totally crazy collection of stuff. So I used to just go and look. He had everything from like Alice in Chains to Led Zeppelin to Christa Berg. So it was like there was like this weird kind of like bad to really good spectrum to enjoy, which is cool, it's just like, and so I guess, and then when I got into guitar, I mean, I just really got into, metal was the thing, it was cool. I found my teacher was a metalhead. He was in a band called Odyssey. He taught me like Van Halen licks and Metallica licks, and I was like, this guy is the coolest, and it's a great place to start on guitar.
Definitely. I also came from metal. My brother's Good to Bad was sort of like Black Sabbath, and then at one stage there was Eminem involved.
Yeah.
Which he won't even admit to it. But yeah, so then sort of the Good stuck around, but it was always, growing up, it was like, I want to be the most metal guitarist I can possibly be, and then that sort of slowly just went down to, rock and roll's fun.
Exactly, it's strange how, like, it's a starting point, and it's kind of just a great place to learn those riffs and stuff. So,
and like some technique as well.
Definitely, yeah. So that was, it was a step up from Duran Duran where I was before. So it was.
Don't knock Duran Duran.
Yeah, it was not Duran Duran. It was a hardcore Billy Idol. Billy Idol. I think I remember having when I had hair once upon a time. We were talking about it a long time ago. So yeah, and then what it's like. You find buddies and try to convince them that music's cool. And there was a friend of mine, Mike, at high school, and convinced him to buy a drum kit. And
it must have been hard.
it took a while. He was threatening for ages, and then he used to go to their house and then wait for the parents to go somewhere, and then clear out the garage or clear out the
Yeah.
make as much noise as you can until somebody came home, and try to learn that stuff. So yeah, I always kind of like that, and write it for quite a long time, and then kind of had an idea, I need to. I think like punk came along. I found punk and found ska, and it just was like, whoa, this major moment of like, clouds open up. This is the way, It just made so much sense to me at the time, and it was great, and it was all DIY and all that stuff, and it's kind of you could do this, and you don't have to be Yngwie Malmsteen. which it felt like you had to have long hair and be playing like Steve Vai, so it took all that pressure away, and was like it was great, like
it was great. Like I don't know, it's obviously a sort of a different era you're talking about, but early 2000s still there was a stigma of like if you want to go into music you have to like prove something.
I think it's maybe, I don't know what it's like now, but I don't like, hopefully I think now it's like a very creative, it's like
honestly I think the sort of underground rap scene has opened it up a lot towards like making people feel like, oh, I can just do this.
I think it's a lot like that, and technology has also helped people for, there's the bad side of it, everybody can put out something, but at the same time it's awesome because it's like, the tools are there if you've got ideas and you're a creative person, and you can make something cool if you really want to, and you're prepared to put in the the hard work and the persistence, because it really is like it's grueling, because it's always like you put out stuff and it's like it's like a piece of you, it's very personal,
If you put it out and it gets like 10 listens and one person's like, oh, this is shit.
It's like bad comment, exactly. It's like I'd be like, oh man, it's destroying. So like the first thing is to just record one song, and it's like, wow, we got a song, and then somebody sang along to it at the gig. That's awesome,
dude. It's
the best.
Literally the best feeling I've ever had was the first time.
It's great. It's amazing. So it's like that is it just feeds the desire, and it's cool to connect with people, because you think ultimately like these are I'm like this, my angst that I'm having, or my thoughts, or my issues, whatever, or my opinions, like they're just mine, nobody else shares them, but then you realize, hey, this is not like that.
There's always someone who can relate to what's going on.
Totally. And the people that get influenced by it, like I've had the DJs to golf players kind of come up and say, hey, thanks so much, like I listened to Fuzzy before, and they're like a professional golfer or DJ who's like doing some amazing stuff, and he'd be like, oh, but it's just the spirit of it. I guess that's what's important, really.
But that's the thing with music, like I always say, you can't fake a good show. In terms of people can smell when you're not enjoying yourself on a stage. The
live show is a real leveler.
Yeah.
it's like a real honest moment of band and fans and everybody getting together, and like it's right there, and it's like everything's revealed, and it's very obvious when it's not going well, and it's very cool when it is going well, because it's the best feeling. So to try and get into that space is great.
It's not easy.
It was a toil.
Okay, so you got the drum kit, and then
it was a case of, okay, let's write some, like, we used to play a lot of covers, I remember, and like it was like it'd be like a Cypress Hill cover, followed by like a Neil Young cover, followed by just like a really like just to confuse everybody that was watching or whatever. We just like you just like music, and you're just checking it all out.
I have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. But then we realized, okay, we need to like kind of maybe figure out some stuff. And we saw at that stage the bands that we used to go watch were like Dorp or Boo or the Nude Girls, and they all had one thing in common. They had a brass. They had like somebody playing brass, and we thought, if you add brass, it becomes a party. And it was so true.
That's such a good quote.
The whole party, I promise you, it's an amazing thing. Live brass is amazing, and then also at the same stage, some people gave me a cassette at a gig. I remember so clearly. They're like, listen to these bands. Like, it was the Rancid and the NoFX and all that stuff. And at the same time, started going into a lot of reggae and looking at ska and figuring out, hey man, there's a lot of depth to it. This is deep.
So it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then going, cool, this actually like makes sense to us. It makes sense to South Africa. something about it connected.
It's so weird how well ska fits South Africa. Like,
I think so, yeah.
I was thinking about it the last couple of days, and I still can't like put my finger on why. But the energy in people here sort of.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like related, like somehow like the two-tone movement and how black-white kind of dynamic and everything. Maybe there's something there. Maybe it's it's always cool having punk and ska, like, because like you get tired of the speed and you just take it down to or whatever, reggae. But like so you can it's a cool combo. It's really great to mess around with because it's like there's a lot there. And yeah, I don't know what it is about it that connects with Africa. I think maybe it's the brass. Brass for the win.
Dude, that's actually something I wanted to ask. Like, it can't be easy to find a brass player.
It wasn't. No. We had to find somebody who had played in the marching band at school, and he played Hawaii 5-0, and we were like, "You're in."
And then hope that he likes ska.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can convince people.
Fair enough.
That he was. If you can find somebody he was into ska. He played Ryan. I mean, he was. He later became. His name was Ryan. He became Skanking Daddy, and Skanking Daddy later became Lucky Wrench when he left the band, and then he was with Slash Dogs and on and on. And now I don't know what he's up to these days, but yeah, he was from Eastern Cape and played. Okay. He played in the marching band basically, and it was and this is amazing because exactly. You'd think in South Africa there's a lot of jazz and jazz heritage would be easy, but being South Africa and having everybody, making everybody be so separate and apart, it's hard to get these connections. You go like.
But that's always been a cool side of like more so the punk scene, but even the metal scene. It's always been like almost aggressively inclusive.
Yeah.
From my perspective.
Yeah, I think the metal scene is. I mean, what I know, but I from what I see, like most of these scenes is like, if you're into what the scene is or the music, then that's all that really matters. Hey?
Yeah.
Like it really that's the bottom line. I mean,
if you come to a show with a Lamb of God shirt, people will like it.
Exactly. There's a few things that you gotta just get in there, and once you're in, fine, you're in there. But then you have to put up with all the kind of politics within the little scenes.
That's a whole different kettle of fish.
That's a whole world, yeah.
No, I don't know, but it's always. I don't know. I've just always felt like if I walk into a venue for the first time, especially when I was touring and stuff, people don't know the band you're playing in. You have no like clout from that. And you walk into a show, and it's sort of people just immediately are like, "Oh yeah, he's one of us."
Yeah. They're like, "Hey, he's in the band," or "He's one of us." Yeah. No, it's always been like very. I think so, and I think the punk scene as well. It's always, and I mean, the reason it wasn't just like us playing. It was like there was all these other bands around, and we all used to play together every weekend. And there was like like 6 bands. Like 2 from Pretoria, 3 from Joburg, and 1 from Rustenburg, or whatever. And then you'd always be playing with those bands, and there would only be 4 in the bill, so 2 bands would sit off this one, and it was always rotation. And then there would be, but it was cool because they'd bring their buddies, you bring your buddies, they'd see that band and go, "Hey, that's a cool band." Their buddies see you, so like. A scene like that is the best to just kind of create, even if it doesn't even have to just like. I mean, it was really. I didn't realize it at the time. Yeah,
dude, it's so easy to take that for granted. Like me coming from Bloom, like I mentioned that there's a lot of great musicians that have come out of Bloom, but not a lot of them ever stay.
Yeah.
And we had this insane setup, which it's still there. At the showgrounds in Bloemfontein, so it's like once a year you'll have the Bloom show when it's like crazy carnival thing going on. Yeah. The rest of the year there's nothing happening there except for like, what was the word? It's like dirt road, oval track.
Oh yeah.
Like that was the only thing. So they had a warehouse that was like a wrestling ring in the middle, but around it, underneath the sort of bleachers, there were little rooms from the outside, like bedroom size rooms. So they started renting them out as band rooms.
Wow, that's cool, yeah.
But it's not like a practice studio where you go and there's gear set up and you go home with your guitar.
It's basically a place where you can make as much noise as you want.
You rent a room and it's your room. You leave your gear there, like you put the padding on the walls and everything.
That's
so
cool,
it was like...
Those kind of places are so important.
Dude.
And like a whole city can like come to life with just that kind of stuff.
It literally became this like cultural mecca of
Like,
dude, you have a metal band, then an indie band, then like some girl who's just wanting to practice loud through a mic, and then another metal band, and then this. But everyone would pop into each other's rooms and like check out their practice, and then if a new band comes in and you're like, oh, you sound cool, and you sound sort of like us, let's play a show together, and then that whole thing just happens, and
so important.
Like that's not in Joburg.
I think it is, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know myself, and obviously not in the last while.
Like I'm sure it's here, but I just mean that sort of.
Yeah, it's just totally. And we used to go to it was Carfax. I don't know it might be Carfax still, but basically it was also like rooms that you could rent, and you kind of shared it with another band, and you paid a certain amount a month, and then that gear was in there, and then you came in and there was stuff everywhere, and then who's leaving it? But it was cool. It was just because you'd get together, and then. And there's been a few of those.
The nice thing was the only time you weren't allowed to be there was during business hours in the week.
Okay.
So you could go there at 5 a.m. if you wanted, make as much noise as you want, and it's fine.
You could just go there, hang, like whatever. It was a space where you could just go.
There's some mates of mine that like they have a room. They don't have a band. He puts his amp there and a couple of couches, and he goes and hangs out and plays guitar loud. But like,
I was listening to this podcast with I can't remember who it was with, but it was like. Basically hip hop dudes from the south of the US or whatever, Atlanta or something like this, and they were also kind of saying there was a farm where they were all hanging out, and they made a lot of cool music there, and the sound of it all, they all influenced each other, and they got this special sound, and then it kind of dissolved. Some of them got really big and toured, and they kind of missed that space, like it just disappeared. But at that moment, there was a great like place for because it's ideas. It's like.
Yeah, and the whole like looking back, we didn't, or I can speak for myself, I didn't appreciate it as much as I should. Because I was like, in the back of my head, I was always like, sure, that of course Joburg has this, but a million times better.
Yeah.
And like, we just wanted to be able to play more shows, but you can only play in Bloom so many times.
Bloom is I mean, smaller than Joburg. In Joburg, we have complained about venues. So yeah.
No, it was a great time, but it's easy to take stuff for granted when it's right in front of you.
Yeah, and you know what also is kind of interesting is how everybody, I guess when you start, like it's kind of like, we did the same thing, we were like trying to emulate our heroes or bands that we liked and stuff, and then you realize that you really, the best thing you can do is just kind of be your own creative voice, but and you're limited because you only have certain gear and you don't have what you want, but that's actually really a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it gives you this kind of other sound.
Exactly. Like Tom Morello's thing was as soon as Rage Against the Machine got their first sort of record deal, they got a bunch of money to go out and buy gear, and he went out, he like thought about what he needs on his pedal board, he bought a bunch of stuff, and then as soon as he did that, he was like, this is a rabbit hole I will never step on. And he told himself, this amp and these pedals that I own are now my things for the rest of my life.
A real creative, like, killer.
Yeah.
In a strange way.
That's all he's been using, and that's how he came across with all his different crazy sounds and things, but he doesn't buy any new gear still.
It's wise, man. I got Logic.
Of course, it's a base level you want to get to, but
exactly.
From that point from that point on, it's sort of diminishing returns.
Well, you kind of like creativity, like you can do it like in some like like you could easily like say, I need this and this to do that thing, but you don't really like you just kind of come across the ideas and it's like with when I got those like Logic Pro, it's like amazing. This is awesome. You can do a billion things and have 80,000 tracks, and it's a rabbit hole. Just limit yourself.
No, it is. I went into Ableton Live a while back as well, and like,
it's power.
Dude, it was a week of like, I just wanted to be able to record like decent sounding demos, and then
you go in there.
Dude, I'm all of a sudden like studying synths and how to
like, we don't even have synths in the band. It doesn't matter, man. Just add them. So I think like in terms of, and I mean, we're talking about when we started. Luckily, it wasn't. It was. I like to think of it as BC, so before cell phone. And it's like,
you had that written down. I love that so much.
And now it's BC's before COVID, so it's kind of been updated a bit. There was a kind of a band from '97. So, and then to 2000, and then we had two guitars in there, and we were very grungy, and we kind of in that spirit of things. But like me and Mike were definitely like kind of like, hey, we want to play this. First of all, it's upbeat. It's not depressing. We want to do like for us, ska especially is like positive. even like this town's becoming a ghost town. It's like even that got a bit of a it's minor chord, but it's kind of like there's a positive vibe about it. So anyway, we were going in that direction. So then we got one of our guitarists left, and then we got the brass in, and then we went to record Skankers Union at B Sharp, which was in Boxburg, and I always used to hear about it on Barney Simon's show 5FM. He used to have it. Barney, it was cool. He had like I think it was 8 till 12 slot.
Yeah.
But really it was, and you could take him in demos, he'd play them. And it was great like that. I used to go around and...
Dude, he was such an influential character in the scene.
Yeah, it was a real, it was like... And he used to talk about these places on the gig guide or whatever. And then you could be like, Peter Stuyvesant or whatever, sponsored by, which was a lot. And then he'd be like, at the Ruby and the Dust in Cape Town this weekend, it's like, lithium and this. And in my head, the Ruby and the Dust is this huge, amazing mecca. And you go there and it's like a little tiny bar. But that was, so it was a lot like that. You just want to, you see these bands and you see them doing stuff and you want to be there.
Dude, I miss that mysticism of things. I remember growing up, so my brother's 6 years older than me. Yeah, 6 years older than me. And when he started going out and stuff, there was this bar in Bloem, I'm sure you played there, Mystic Buddha. He would tell me stories about the Mystic Buddha the whole time, and like in my head it gets built up as like this crazy place. It's the coolest thing in the world, and then you walk in there and it's like, oh, it's quite dingy.
Get the lights off and blow the lights, like collecting your gear.
Never walk through the Mystic Buddha in the daytime.
That's pretty much like collect your gear, from a club that you played the night before, the next day, and it's like, whoa, let's play that night.
Look, somebody's nice about it.
Yeah, I think that's it's true, and also I think with social media, bands, the access to information now, all those, and also because music's just so accessible. That mystery has to be created in other ways. I don't know how.
I was figuring it out. I don't know how you create mystery through...
Well, I didn't see a picture of the Pixies for ages, and then in my head, I listened to the music, and I was like, wow, these guys must be they just sound like aliens. So I didn't expect them to be so kind of normal looking.
Dude, it's happened a couple of times to me where I'd listened to someone for years, and then when I see them, I'm like, what?
This is not adding up.
A$AP Rock, I don't know if you know him, but he's a very cool rapper from Brooklyn, I think.
Yeah. Trying to think. What's that?
A$AP Rock.
A$AP Rock. No.
He's a white guy, and for years I was listening to him thinking, straight up, this is a black rapper.
He's got
And then I see the photo, and it's just a standard sort of looking white dude, and I'm like, what? That just blew my mind.
So sometimes that mystery is a great place to be. So and then I realized I was adamant to we had to record. I think it's important to record. Even if it's just to document a time in your life, so that one day you can go these are some songs I recorded or whatever,
Yeah.
And I heard about B Sharp in Boxburg, and he was doing a lot of cool metal recordings at the time that seemed to be recording there, and so ran around there, and he was still recording onto reels, which was wow. I think the first album was recorded onto reel, which was first time you go into a studio. We had a few experiences before that of trying to record stuff, but it wasn't either it was us or it was the studio or something just wasn't happening. And we finally found John Paul, and he's this. First of all, he's got an amazing ear, and you can hear when a guitar's just a fraction out of or something like that. Much too, sometimes it's a great thing, but it can be annoying for the.
Dude, I was about to say I have that same curse where I cannot handle the guitar even slightly being out of tune.
We'd try to put dissonance or something in the song or something. You'd be like, whoa, what are you doing there? But he comes from that Deep Purple school of amazing musicianship, kind of 70s.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, you have to be able to play it through yourself, the whole song with that. Which is, you can get around that these days. And so, you got to be able to do it. So it was cool. And he was, it was just such a learning experience to go in there. But we had some songs, and it had a scene, and we had made connections with Durban and Bloemfontein, Curb Dogs.
Yeah.
And he left Bloemfontein after a Curb Dog tour, anyway. And Cape Town with the bands there. So there was a bit of a scene around. So we record the album, and then it's like, cool, we got a reason to go do a tour.
Yeah.
It's because, we can leave something behind. Because I always it's cool to tour, but like if you don't have something to leave,
people just forget.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, we went there and we had cool times, and luckily the guys that were there was, real kind of just true to the spirit of punk ethics, and just like, yeah, come, we'll make the show.
Yeah.
And it was great. So so then from there it was cool, and we did other albums. So yeah, that's how it all began. Really, it was kind of like, but we had to make a decision. Okay, like, we have to do this album. We must do it. No matter what,
No, dude, that's it. Was it like having to sort of scrounge up some money to be able to do it?
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember actually how much it cost, but it would have been like, because you wouldn't have been earning a lot as a band. Like you're getting paid in beer or just whatever the doors. It's like,
even if you get paid in money, it hardly covers the
yeah, exactly. So we managed to do it. I don't know how, but we got there, and then you finish the album, and you're like, cool, and now we've got to actually produce this production of this. There were still CDs, so we had to put more money into making CDs. Now, like, what the hell? It's never. Now they want to make. Now we have to go tour and spend more money. Like, will we ever see this back? But I think we were like all so in love with it that it wasn't a problem, and it was just cool to be on this adventure and mission together.
Dude, so you've already sort of started on a thing I wanted to do, but I kind of wanted to go through like each album.
Oh yeah.
Just get a little bit of background behind them. So we've gone through Skankers Union.
Yeah, Skankers was
so Southern Ska Stomper.
Yeah, then that was like we done one album now, so we were veterans, No, we were like, cool. So we went back to John Paul, and we were like, let's do another album. And that album was like, we had Revolution, which was a skate kind of company at the time, and they were behind it. So, which was cool, It was nice. Like somebody was like, cool, and they were like, yeah, we'll get behind it. And so we had a CD cover that you could fold out. Yeah, it was like, we could have a little bit of splatlight, a little bit. We had a launch gig, launch show, which is like the most important thing you can do, because it's like one time that you're going to get everybody there that will actually buy it, like it's a great, and it was cool, and then we had like. And that album was like really like a collection. Like somebody said, it sounds like a mixtape. It's got so many different styles in it, It sounded like the same things. And we had at that stage we had Lord Zoltan on the keys. He came in on the keyboards. The Hammond, like it was like not a Hammond organ. That's pretty big, but it was like an organ. Which is cool. I mean, it was just. So we had a 5-piece at that stage, and it was cool. Yeah, it was an epic album. I don't know what else to say about it, really.
I recently inherited a Hammond organ from used to be my mom's.
A real one?
Yeah.
And they're big?
It's not that big.
But you wouldn't take it around with you a lot of places, or would you?
No, it's heavy.
Yeah, is it?
I've seen guys do a thing with because it's basically just an electric keyboard. Well, it's not even a keyboard, it's more of a guitar than a keyboard.
Because it's about the...
Yeah, it's different discs that, like, they aren't perfectly round. They have a little, like, strip cut out that are all on one bar, and that bar spins at like whatever your powers thing is, so 60 hertz.
And those are the things you... Okay.
And then every time you press a key, it's actually taking a straight up guitar pickup down over one of those spinny things. So it's literally a metal thing moving, being picked up by a magnetic pickup, and then going through exactly guitar amp circuitry through speakers. So that's where guitar amps come from.
Oh really?
The technology sort of evolved from this. If you open the back, it's just valves.
Yeah, because I mean, I know I've heard of like guys playing keys through guitar amps, but then,
But you can also, you can mod a Hammond so you can use guitar pedals through it.
Is that what you
That's what I want to do.
You have to take it around with you.
Yeah, but the whole thing is like guys chop them in half, sort of. So they chop the top keyboard bit with that whole mechanism behind it off, and then the bottom is essentially your amp / cab.
Wow.
So then you can sort of transport it.
Something just flew to me. Okay, so then
you can sort of transport it relatively easily.
It's kind of like having a double bass. So like it's a great instrument, and then it's but it's big.
Or just being a drummer.
As you know, I mean, yeah, it was. I think there was a time. Hey, like it was, I don't know the days of the 80s or the 70s when they had the drummers just had the biggest insane kits ever. because they had drum techs, I guess. But it must have been hard on everybody that didn't have a drum tech who was aspiring, because then they also had to like have a 17-piece kind of with a gong and a. But that's kind of seems to have faded a bit. Like it's not essential in, you know, it's if you want to go that way, cool. Yeah. We're very much in a kind of no pressure kind of like, you want to go there, do that.
Yeah, but people also like appreciate simplicity a lot more these days.
Yeah,
I feel.
Definitely. I think because maybe there's just so much going on, like there's just so much.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, people just want to cut through the bloat of it all and get to a point. And like if someone can, especially in music, if you can get your point across within like 10 seconds of hearing it.
Yeah.
People, if you're gonna connect to it, you're gonna connect to it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, you know, kind of, unless the song deteriorates a lot or say they suddenly say something that you really like, you're take offense to, you kind of know pretty much up front, like, I like the sounds, I like the vibe, like, yeah, you can tell.
Like, I'm sure back in the day, everyone sort of had the experience, like, every town kind of had a road that was full of bars and stuff.
Yeah. And
you could kind of walk down the road and then you'd hear this bar more than one or the other one, and then you'd just hear something and go in.
Go check out that one, yeah, see what's happening. And you're like, oh, this is the new sound.
Like, I think that's how I saw Goodnight Wembley for the first time.
Yeah.
I was literally just walking down the road on the way to a different bar, and then I was like, oh no, that sounds like it, let me go in there.
That's the cool thing about festivals as well. Like, you like, especially like if it's a really like bunch of like you like really mixed, and you don't like all the stuff you wouldn't normally go watch. Or you've heard
Copy is a good example.
Yeah, and you walk around, and the best thing was just like stumbling into those places that you're not expecting, and you walk in and this is cool. Or you get to see something that you wouldn't normally go watch, but it's cool.
Exactly. Like, one of my favorite things is always whenever I would go to a festival, I would make a point of not checking out people I don't know on the lineup beforehand.
Yeah.
And then at the festival, like, after I just watched the show, I would just speak to whoever's around me and be like, what are you going to go watch?
Yeah.
What is that? Explain it to me a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool. Don't let the festival take you.
Yeah. And like, some of my favorite local bands have gotten that way. People I would never have gone and watched, like, on my own. Medicine Boy, for example.
Yeah, then you like to see it, and sometimes the recording might not, or they don't have a record, or it's not quite there yet.
I made the mistake actually for a very long time of sort of only listening to local bands live and almost not going out of my way to listen to a recording. Because it happened a couple of times. I can't even remember with who, but then I listened to a recording and it's like terrible. Well, not even terrible, but I just didn't like it at all. And then I see them live afterwards, and I'm like, why did you sound that bad on a recording? You're amazing.
Yeah. I think that happens, but then it gets to a point, I think...
That was a mistake. That was definitely a mistake.
And then you get to a point where actually, no, these recordings are it's sounding great. Things are happening, The bands, what the hell are they doing?
I must say I prefer it the other way. If it's a good live show, I can take your recording being a bit
Best is also having your own little secret personal band that you only know and appreciate, and then other people start to like it. So, okay. Well, I guess other people can like you as well.
Yeah, you're allowed.
Yeah, but I knew you before. I
always wear that little badge of honor.
I think we might call the next, the new album that's going to, I prefer the early stuff.
That'd be amazing.
I've always wanted to do that, but it's out there. Because I hear myself say that so many times, like, I like it, they're cool, but I really like the first album.
They got shit after the first album.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to, I really like the latest album the most.
What's it? Bring Me the Horizon syndrome. I don't think anyone's ever taken such a U-turn in terms of their sound.
Yeah, I mean, the little I know of Bring Me the Horizon, and what I've been told is they're amazingly huge, amazingly good at marketing, and just like there's a whole clothing label, and a whole empire that's been created around them.
We were sitting the other day in the office, and we had like BBC One radio playing in the background, and bloody Bring Me the Horizon song comes on, and we're sitting there like
the whole fans like.
It's a pretty mellow song, but the chorus is still like full on heavy guitars, and he does proper screams and stuff.
Did you have mixed feelings?
I'm fine with it. I don't mind.
Depends how close you are to them. Hey?
But it just blew my mind that's on BBC One. The biggest radio station in England is playing someone screaming. 10 years ago, you wouldn't really have thought that a thing.
It's true. These things always.
So, like, if anything, I have more respect for them for doing that.
Yeah, I guess it's a kind of a case of like, if you're not going to take that position or that gap, or get there, somebody else's. So why not get in there and put out your ideas and stuff.
It's also like, if that's what you want to do, if you want to become the biggest band on the world, if that's your goal, You can't be held accountable for like, oh, your first fans don't like your new stuff, so you have to keep doing the same album.
I mean, you're gonna be in a trap forever, then. Like, you really gotta just do what you like doing, because otherwise it's like, it's. I mean, I think in a way, like, speaking of bands that like suddenly, like Metallica and that whole like Black Album afterwards, and I think, I mean, there's a whole, that Monster, like, you know, the whole documentary about them going like the mental health stuff. They were just like totally like don't know what to do. Suddenly they're this big thing. You know, you kind of. You can't really feel sorry for them. It's like whatever. And I think
sorry for them sitting in their mansions.
Yeah. So suddenly alienated from everybody they know. It's like, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, it's you bring it on. I guess they bring it on themselves. I don't know. We don't have that. When the new Fuzzy album comes with the, you know, ballads.
One thing I loved about Fuzzy was like, you guys sort of. You can hear between your albums that there's always something different going on.
Yeah.
But it stays within this like fuzzy tangent. It always sounds like Fuzigish, but the one album's a bit more like, a bit punkier, a bit faster, a bit heavier, and then the other one.
We have a joke like we put it through the fuzzy filter and then it comes out the other side. So you just take the song and like put it in and like you just, you know, speed it up and add some skank and because I mean, songs essentially, yes, a good song is a good song and it can be done in a lot of ways.
I have a very favorite quote, which is like, if a song can't be broken down to one person with one guitar playing and singing, it's not a good song.
Yeah. Well, you could say, I mean, I think if you want to really connect with a lot of people, that's important. And that's like a simplicity thing, I guess. Being able to play it's so weird, like, because you learn, when you start off, you want to learn like all, you know, the most complicated chords and the stuff, and you learn these amazing things and you want to show them off, so you like squeeze them into everything. And then like later on, like you go, wow, can you like write a song with, you know, just 2 chords? It's like, it's a hard thing to keep people interested.
That's something I got from like, I think it was Jack White. He has his like, he's got a million strange, arbitrary little rules that he makes for himself.
He's got a quirky dude.
You know, like he wants to make everything on stage as hard as possible. So like he'll put the piano as far away as possible, so he has to run to it. So, like,
to see if the desire's still there.
Yeah. But the one thing that really sort of connected to me was he said like 3 is his number, in terms of he thought about it while he was doing carpentry, where you need 3 staples to put a piece of fabric like tautly against something.
Okay.
And from that he sort of went like, okay, if I limit myself to 3 in some respect in every single song, whether that be 3 chords, 3 parts, 3 words, 3 whatever, like working within that limitation allows for way more creativity.
I think, but he's in a 2-piece and a 4-piece. I don't know where's, you know, like
wasted opportunity there.
I tell you, like, I think like then Nirvana or the Police or something. I was listening to, I think it's really like these days. There's just so many things you can explore that you can totally get on there. And so it's a wise move. I didn't know you need 3. Surely you need 4 staples to really. Only 3. I guess in a triangle vibe.
I don't really understand how that whole thing came around, but that was the story.
He's also like a purist.
It wasn't a visual aid.
It's got to probably have a valve in it. Otherwise, you just don't look at it.
Maybe
he's like the traditionalist.
Probably.
We're a heritage band. I mean.
No, dude. I mean, it's just I took it to heart sort of directly after that. I was kind of on a writer's block, which is why I was watching like music documentaries and stuff anyway. So I was like, okay, cool, 3 chords. Let me go sit down and try and write a song with 3 chords. That's so much fun, dude.
I
still love that song that I wrote after that whole thing, and then I was like, okay, there's something
cool is, you can also like, you know, you can concentrate on getting into the song as opposed to like the details and the technique. Like that's a really cool place to be when you.
For me, that shifted to like rhythm.
Rather
focus on rhythm than melody. It has a lot more impact sometimes.
Keith Richards, I mean, like he's an amazing rhythm player. And like you don't really take it for granted when you actually listen. It's like, wow, okay, that's amazing stuff. He's such a interesting out there. It's great, and it's true. It's like the rhythm, man. Just keeping it going.
Okay, and then probably the fan favorite album so far, Exploited and Distorted.
That was the punk. That was punk. And we'd been on tour in Australia.
I think that was the album I heard first from you guys.
And we had we'd been on tour in Australia, and we were with friends of Rom, and they were very punk, and and we obviously had a big influence on us, and we were like, cool, this is...
Was Australia the first tour outside of SA?
No, before that we'd been to Europe, and we did like a tour around Europe. We played a few shows with the Selector, and then we did some other kind of around Germany and Austria, and it was a grueling tour, but it was cool. When I say grueling, it was a bit long. We bit off a bit more much. Like, I don't know, for a new band, if it's your first tour, you should maybe do 2 weeks, not 7.
Yeah.
With the promoter there, we didn't really know that well. So like, and we would go up to these clubs. It was classic, and we'd be like, "Hey, we're Fuzigish. We're here from Mark Foresco. He booked us." And the club owner would be like, "Mark Foresco." We'd be, "Oh, here we go again." That guy. You playing here tonight? And like, so there was like, it was a weird thing of like, it was a bunch of gigs that were awesome, and then a bunch of gigs that were like kind of like, we were kind of like, it's kind of, I don't know, they didn't know about them, or we were like immediately, they wanted to speak to us about Mark Foresco, you know, like, hey, you know, so it was a real learning curve, but it was cool. And then we came back, and then friends of Rom came over to South Africa, and at the time, our manager Paul, he'd organised for them to come here, and then we went over there, and that was cool because they had we did a whole, like, from Cairns all the way down to Sydney. Yeah.
Hectic.
And it was great, and they were like, I mean, they were just like, they were fast and furious, and so we were like, I think influenced by them on the tracks, and I came back and we were ready to go. We were ready. We just wanted to do it.
There's always been this weird like connection between South Africa and Europe in terms of the punk scene. Like, a while back, I got into like vinyl collecting sort of a couple of years ago, and I found this little 7-inch, and it was just, I had no idea what it was. It was just labeled like hardcore punk, and I was like, oh no, okay, let me check this out. And it's like this. It's called The Rocking Together, and it was made in Durban in the 80s, but it's a split like album thing between a South African band with a Swedish vocalist, a Swedish band, a band from New Zealand, and a band from like, I think Holland.
It's amazing.
Or Belgium or something. But it's just like this little thing that was so pressed cool, in the 80s between like all these countries, and it's proper hardcore. Like,
it's not rocking at all. They say like rocking is like a crazy name for something that's really.
You
like,
look on the cover, it's just this dude with like an old skateboard lying there.
Yeah, like okay, it's cover or whatever, but the music's out.
And they had like a great little insert, which was like a bunch of write-ups from the band and stuff, and a bunch of cool photos and things. And then at the bottom of it, you can see like, we're really sorry, this was actually a way bigger like fold-out thing, but we left it in the cupboard while we were trying to like get enough funding to press the vinyl. Great, yeah. So some cockroaches ate some of the pages.
Okay, cool. That's like something that you just can't recreate. Like that's like a unique one-off. Like, you know, there might have been whatever made, but I mean, I would hang on to that one. That's a collectible. I think there's something I was like. Compilations. That's a great way as well, man. Like there used to be a lot of those. We were on a couple in the beginning that were really good. One was Keep It in the Family, and another one was Taking Over the World, whatever. And yeah, it was just like us and all the other bands. You put like 20 bands on this thing, and it was such a cool way to spread.
It's been a little bit of a resurgence of it, though.
Oh, really?
Along with the vinyl scene, dude. Like
the vinyl thing. I know, but I mean compilations is in like. Is it digital, or is it like kind of something that's...
I don't know which came from which. It's just I've seen it through some vinyl stuff. But there's been, in the last 3 years, I've seen maybe 5 compilation albums that have been done.
That's cool. It's such a cool way to do...
Like half of them were sort of electronic, but still...
It's just, I mean, if you're going to make... Yeah.
That's always been something I was kind of...
And those CDs that used to come in magazines.
Yeah.
Hey, those were pretty... I mean, you could get on those, it was cool. It was a good thing.
That's sick, dude. But it's also something fun. Physical you can have. And give to someone if something was cool or whatever. Like, I just feel like telling someone, hey, go listen to this on Spotify is a lot different than telling someone, hey, I made you a mixtape.
It is different. It's different. And it's very like, at first I was very kind of like holding onto my CD, and then I got into like, Deezer account, and then now I'm just like, that's where I am. Yeah. And it's great. So, but it's a very different thing. And changes your kind of relationship. Maybe I don't know.
I'm happy for both. I'm happy that everything exists. I'm happy that vinyl's having a bit of a resurgence. I'm happy that more people have more access to more music.
Yeah.
Like both, I feel like there's never been a better time to be a music lover.
But I liked it when I was the only person that had that one thing, and then people came to me. No,
you can still be there. You just gotta find the obscure stuff.
Exactly. It's not on there. Yeah, we didn't go on there because it's like whatever. But you can go to this place and do it.
Next up, Roll with the Punches.
Yeah, Roll with Punches was so that one was, I think we did a lot of, if Exploded and Distorted was like a punkist, then Roll with Punches was kind of like our most, it was also quite diverse. We tried to put in a lot of like stuff and put a lot of attention to detail, like to production.
Yeah.
You know, we had a whole lot of demos, and then we chose like a bunch that we thought would make an album and stuff. So and I think it had like commercially probably like a most reach, you know, and it got like picked up, and the launch was huge, and it was a cool album to do. It was ridiculous, like compared to like the like Crazy Fred. Like I mean, I remember taking the Strat and the Gibson, and like, you know, I had like all these different, and we messed around with tones, and it was like, we went that whole kind of like, you know, let's like really like try and push it ourselves, and you know, not just go in and just put it down. And for better or for worse, I don't know. I don't think we'd ever go like. I don't know how compared to what, but I don't think we'd ever go so like, you know.
So like
anal or detail. Yeah. Because it can be like a bit of a. But I mean, we're happy with it in the end, and it was cool. It was great, and it was received well. It was cool. So.
Like I think it's important that you at least explore those.
Totally,
to see if there is something.
And all those albums are recorded with John Paul, so we're like, B-Shot, we're like, find out.
But also by that time you're so like comfortable with him.
Exactly.
Like, let's try this.
He's like, oh, these guys again. No, it's like, and we know, and because a lot of it is like, you know, you're putting down stuff. So the first time you go in and you're singing in this booth, and then they just play your voice back on its own to listen to it, and you just going like, oh, you want to like die, you know? Yeah. It's like, it's a hard thing, and then, you know, as you build up, like you get used to it, and you laugh about it, and that's cool. But yeah, it took us a while to get to there. So that was like what, 2008 that I think it was.
2007.
2007, that's the one.
According to my
2002, 2004. Yeah. So they started getting like a little bit spread out. It was 2 years, and then it was like, and then Crazy Friends was like 2013, I think.
Yeah.
So that would be number 5. Yeah. I was like, we got to come on, dude. Let's go and do it. Went back to John Paul, but that was like, that's also quite a punk album. It's got a lot of. But the problem was like we did 15 songs or 6 or whatever, and and so now we've got like all these songs that we like play live, okay, and when we like and then we put 15 songs out there. We can't play just like this whole new album. Nobody likes that, especially people like I'll go watch InIt, I want to hear SSI, and I don't want to.
Yeah. Someone's always going to shout Freebird in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, and I appreciate that when the bands like still play. So like even like if we had 15 tracks, we probably like 3 of those tracks kind of got included a lot. And it's a pity because I think there's so many cool songs in there, and you know, and also you get used to playing those 3, and to, you know, let's add another track and stuff. So yeah.
Dude, that's something I've never had to even like think about or deal with, is having such a big discography and trying to choose a set.
Yes, and the thing is you get into the habit of playing certain songs, so you play them a lot, and you can play those songs well. So introduce new songs, it's cool, but you don't play them as well, or you don't think you do. So you're like very hesitant, you know, but you have to. So, and then, so by then, I mean, the set list is like 20 songs. We did when our bass player turned 40, we did 40 tracks. And we were like, let's see, like we did 40 tracks. It's like, cool, we can do 40. It was like, we nearly died, sure.
Just take a break in between.
No, we just went for it. ate jungle oats in the morning and went for it, and made sure, we just said, cool. It was his birthday, so we said, cool. Just us and then a DJ afterwards, right? And we said, we're going to do 40 tracks. And it was kind of like a dare. I mean, some of our songs are only a minute long, but there are some that are. It's still fast.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So I think that's, I mean, that happens, like, you know, you got to play. We have to play some songs that we need to play.
Yeah, I feel like setlist is also worth mentioning though.
Yeah, that was that was basically that was the set list more or less that we were doing. So look at this.
Did you re-record some of those?
Yeah, we kind of. It's sort of been like one of those things that Rockwell bassman, he would have been like, yeah, we need to fix up this and fix up that and remaster that and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I would have been like, no, leave it like it is. You know, we always have this thing, but in the end, I think it got remastered, and then we added in one or two little things just to make it a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it's cool to actually do that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I have said to him, like, no, we're not remastering or touching anything else.
He's like, I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, he's like, cool, that's like cool.
Yeah, some of my favorite albums of all time sound terrible from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
I love them to death.
It's part of the character.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I've always said, like, this is one of my things is a good song recorded badly is a good song, you know? And a cuck song recorded well is not a cuck song.
Dude, a good example of that is like a song blowing up on social media or something when it's someone who just recorded it on the street with their phone. Yeah. You have like car noises and crazy things going around. It still gets millions of views.
So then it make you think like the song, it's all about the idea of the song and where it is and in that moment.
Like it's all about connection, dude. If you don't, you can call it energy, you can call it whatever you want, but there's something that happens when you hear something that just speaks to you.
Yeah, and you're connecting with the mind of what everybody's thinking, like it's kind of like this. And we always try to do that with the lyrics, is try to add in South African stuff without being too South African, without being without being the Lion King. So just to add in some stuff.
No, that's always been one of my favorite aspects of you guys. It's not forced down your throat that we are South African. It's just it's part of you. Yeah,
it comes through. And don't try and run away. It's cool thing.
Every time you hear it for the first time, it makes you smile.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like a legacy thing as well. It was like being ashamed of being South African and stuff. And there's no need. So no, it's like once upon a time it wasn't cool, and so But you got to sing about what's around you, and artists always reflect what's going on, and I mean, that I think is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So trying to find those things now,
Yeah, I feel like it's whether you want to or not that's going to happen.
Yeah. Your focus will determine reality.
Dude, so you guys have pretty much been independent up until this point.
I know.
In terms of your releases. And you're with Mongrel.
We were strictly independent. Yeah. So Mongrel came along, and Warren, who's runs Mongrel, and Rockwell, they're good pals, and they're kind of chatting, and it came through, and it just makes so much sense because he's seems like the right place for us to be, and for us to do an album because it's cool being independent, but I just want to write music, do the music and focus on that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it that just we need to help assistance somebody else who's on the same page as us. And so this is a cool opportunity for us, I think.
Dude, it seems like Mongrel is doing some great stuff, though.
Yeah, I think so.
The way they've handled the recent Rough Magic release, for example. I can't think of a better South African release.
Yeah, that's
from the heavier side of things in recent memory.
We're on the easy listening side of Mongrel. We're no, but it's cool. It just makes sense. It feels like a rad connection. So and when it came up, it was let's do this. This is because now. Suddenly there's a deadline, or at least kind of more or less, and there's a time when we want to do it, and to get us going, because so now it's full steam ahead.
Well, I heard you guys talking about Pirate Fest in the little interviews. You mentioned still working on the new album. Maybe.
Wow, man, that Pirate Fest we played a while ago. Hey,
I never 2019.
I never realized there were so many pirates in Joburg. It's a huge and pirate bands and
a lot of Elstrom fans.
I know. It felt great to play, but also felt like we were a little bit of outsiders, kind of stepping onto somebody else's world in a way. We're not true pirates, But it was cool. It was a cool gig. Yeah, I was talking wow.
There's a little bit of a crossover between ska and
definitely, there always has been. There was some Mad K's albums, and there's a few others that are Walk the Plank. So there was the connection.
Always gives me a little bit of a pirate vibe as well. Even though it's not even slightly pirate.
It's kind of, I think it's the way they wear the sashes or something like this. So
the full bottle of wine every time we play.
Yeah. They did that whole cosplay, and which always sounds much realer than it really is. Just that people just dressing up, but that was cool. It was wow, this is that's what's so cool is is Joburg is big enough to have sub genres that are lurking underneath, which is, I guess, one of the pros about being a Joburg.
Definitely.
And I mean, yeah, so there is a pirate scene and there is whatever you're looking for.
No, it's about to say, like, whatever you want, you'll find it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Rule 36 but for Joburg.
So it's a bit harder in Bloem to find those. But they're there.
Bloem has... It's strange because you have super passionate people, but they'll always be passionate about the weirdest little thing.
I guess they get protective as well because they've been fighting for this thing the whole time, and it feels like it's them against the world.
Yeah.
And then then somebody else comes from the outside who's also into it. It can be kind of like, oh, wait a second, this is my thing. We used to go. I don't know, Curb Dogs. Did you ever hear?
I think it was before my time.
Yeah.
I'm a young guy.
Yeah. No, me too. I just been. Curb Dogs was our connection down there. We went down. We were going to this craziest night when we were hooked up with Half Price in Bloemfontein, and Curb Dogs and Fuzzy, and we played at the skate park. And it was like,
what skate park was it?
Oh man, I do not remember what it was called exactly, but it was like it just opened, and we played, and the gig was okay, whatever. It didn't, it was okay, but we were all like just high life, and then we said let's go and carry on partying, and then I think we went out, and we ended up going out into the country somewhere, just on the outskirts of town, to this place of exotic dancers, so to speak, and with Half Price, and it was just turned out to be the funniest night. They even wrote a song about it.
I think I know exactly where you went.
And we got to the door, and we were all like, "Yeah, that's it." And the guy was like closing or something, and that's it. And it was like suddenly like it's like dead, and then suddenly like the cars pitch up and like 3 bands jump out, and Half Price were like half price, and they're like, okay, half price for all of you guys. and then we went in, and it was one of those kind of like legend nights of like just funniest stuff that happened.
Yeah.
You talk about, write songs about, and have a good time.
Was the skate park? Did it have like fields covering it sort of all around?
I remember it having like a high tin roof. It was kind of industrial almost.
Okay. I think that was.
It felt like it was an industrial area, like kind of like like somewhere where warehousing or.
Yeah, I think that one closed
before
I was of skateboarding age.
Oh yeah. That was a huge the skateboard culture was like.
It was, dude. Like the reason I was asking was my mom owned a skate park that she bought from a dude.
Cool.
So I was like, has Fuzigish played at my mom's skate park? That would have been cool.
I mean, originally, like a million years ago, there used to be, I think, what was it called, Thrashers? No, it was Thrashers. No, it was another one. It was in town. I'm trying to think of the word, but like, I used to have a hip hop. No, I should know this name, but I can't remember now. And used to have hip hop and punk and skateboarders and hanging out and doing their thing, and it was cool. Yeah, it was important.
Yeah, definitely. Like skateboarding's always been sort of that's what brought me and my brother, or opened us up to hip hop a little bit as well.
Yeah,
rap and stuff, which that's another rabbit hole you can go down forever. But I feel like the energy is the same. Yeah,
no, it is. The definitely comes from the same space of DIY. Definitely it's a very kind of anti you're not gonna do this, so we're gonna make our own thing. Now it's like such a huge thing, but it wasn't always,
Yeah.
So it's like.
Dude, so we'll sort of cap this off soon. But there's 2 little things I want to ask about. How was it touring with NoFX?
It was cool. It was like it's pretty amazing because it's a band that you've always like Fat Rick and Fat Mike and the whole thing.
My dad lives in Switzerland, and it was in a town a city called Basel. The entire city, I promise you, there's not a single building that doesn't have NoFX tagged on it.
Really?
Switzerland just
loves
NoFX.
Yeah, we went through Switzerland and like when the European tour, and because we went to Europe twice, and Switzerland was definitely like one of the best places to play. The venues are amazing. Like need to be treated so nicely, and then it was but touring with them, it was cool. I mean, we basically. I went overseas and connected with the agent, the European agent there, and then convinced him that we could bring these bands over. So we did it. So we brought over Lagwagon and then Mad Caddies, and then he said his thing was like, yeah, you bring those bands over, then you're gonna get no effects, because really is the, you know, they're kind of band that you just announce them and they sell out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they got that kind of pull. So.
I feel like people who haven't even heard a single NoFX song would buy a ticket to go watch NoFX.
Yeah, and the shows were great and it was amazing to play with them. So yeah, it's a highlight, you know, along the way. And it was a learning curve bringing over bands, because that's a whole other world.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
a lot of logistics involved.
Too many.
And then when can we expect the new album?
I'm thinking like we're going to be doing demos and stuff now, and we want to have it out definitely before the end of the year. We want to have it out in September. That's the prize.
And will there be a vinyl?
Definitely, finally.
Finally, yeah.
That was another reason that was so cool to a couple of the mongrels that can offer us help with a vinyl. Because we've been talking about it, we can do it, but whatever, you know. So yeah.
Dude, not to like plant too much of an idea in your head, but maybe a couple of years down the line, if you guys press a box set of all the albums onto vinyl, I would pay a stupid amount of money for that.
That sounds coming. I think we definitely wanted to do, like, we were going to do like a 20th anniversary vinyl in there, like obviously in the past, of Skankers or whatever. So I think we're going to like do this one, and we're going to release it on vinyl, and then like start off and go back. Yeah.
Amazing, dude.
So it's really cool to be writing and putting fuzzy stuff together again. And it's also, what's amazing is that people are so positive about it, and so am for it. It's like, yeah.
Probably when I saw that, like, on, I think it was on a Facebook post, I scrolled past it in the morning, and I had the best day after that. It was just like pumping fuzzy and like, yes.
That's the best thing ever. Like, out of all the things, like, doing music is like, you know, there's all the, like, people is it fame, money, or whatever. It's like none of those things. I mean, you know, it's because it's in South Africa and whatever. But even if the best thing is connecting with people and actually finding out that you actually positive impact and made people do stuff. And that's so many times people say, oh, you played in my high school. Oh, I saw you there, or something like this. And you don't see it, but that's the best thing.
Dude.
The most rewarding part of it, definitely.
Amazing, man. But I think let's cap it there, because otherwise this is going to go on forever.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an honor, to be frank.
Thanks very much. It was great to be here. Thanks, man.